Hey everyone, today we're in northern British Columbia, Canada. We're actually really close to Yukon. We'll probably hit that tomorrow. It's a chilly night. We're bringing out our jackets because we're probably gonna need them out in the woods camping. We're gonna find a good spot today to just walk into the wilderness off of this logging road and find a nice place to camp. Right here we have a nice, beautiful, trickling waterway. We're gonna find a nice place to camp. Notice this trail right here. There's active beavers going up and over to the other side. You see there's a bit of water right there. Nice, beautiful, swampy area. A little bit down the road, we have this body of water, and I see some more beaver evidence. I think this area sometimes severely floods. You'll also see in here, there's some damage from forest fires. Almost this entire area has been completely destroyed by forest fire. This is like in a little teeny oasis out on the logging roads that was spared because it was wetter. It's near a river. But as we continue this walk, you'll see what I mean. The mosquitoes out here are really, really bad. But these are the easiest ones I've ever seen in my life. They don't even try to get away fast. But there's a lot of them, and they're pretty big. Look at this area here. The road, so green and lush. But right in here, everything is burnt. If you can see that back there. The forest floor is growing back, maybe about a year. All right, everyone, we've reached the end of the road. Here we go. There's a trail down here. Probably animals and fishermen alike. We're gonna follow the river for a little ways. Find a good spot to camp. Now you can really see how badly the area has been scarred by fire. Look over there, up on these hills. Just about everything is dead. Pretty bad forest fires. But you see everything next to the river, it was a little bit healthier, less dry. It's looking pretty good. These areas are really, really bad. We'll have to show you some of the areas from the main roads when you can actually see a massive valley of mountains, every single piece of them burnt. This is like a little oasis we're in right now. This area has a bunch of blue markers. These blue markers, I know when I've done the surveying, typically means this is the boundary. That's the maximum they're allowed to log up to. But I don't think they're going to be logging all this burntness. Hey, there's huge mushrooms out here. Look at those. So big, it grew so fast that it split open. Despite all the burnt, there's still active beavers. This right here, probably a few months old. But right here, it's probably a couple weeks. It's already stopped bleeding out. But they're still around. We'll look for more evidence of the beavers. Look how burnt it becomes up here. This part of the river is very, very nice. Look at this. The fire didn't get to this small section, but over here, mostly destroyed. Look up on these mountains. Really bad fire scarring. Still looking for a good area to pitch a tent. It's a bit rocky here. This whole area we're walking through definitely floods. There's piles of debris against all the trees. And this looks so recent, these mudslides. The water's very, very cold. Let's hike along it a little bit. Maybe we can find a better spot to do some camping. Look at all this just slid here. The next flood will take a lot of that away. Ooh, there was a beaver dam here. Got destroyed by the last flood. Foam. Looking around, there's tracks. Probably wolf. I can definitely see how these forest fires get really out of control. There's barely any roads around here. It's just a single dirt road we drove in on, and it's just so vast. You can't get anyone in here to fight these fires. We were even watching them trying to put out a tiny little forest fire a couple weeks ago, and every night they seemed to give up on it, and it just got worse by every morning. It's a nice river. If we look through here, does this look almost as if vehicles went through here to fight a fire? Sort of looks like a road. This is actively sliding. Look at this. Look at it. That'd be cool to catch a big piece falling. Over here, looks very soupy and wet. I don't see any movement though. Right here looks like, again, some kind of rugged vehicle may have gone through here. It goes right to that spot over there I showed earlier. Now we found a trail where stuff is pushed over. Something made a nice trail here through all this clover. Lots of perfect flat areas to set up a tent. Lots of good natural cushion. And you can see the logs here, the debris wrapped around the trees. This area goes way underwater. Here's a nice flat spot. I thought I saw elk tracks earlier. They weren't big enough for a moose. Lots of nice flat spots. You can see water comes down here. This wetness probably saved this part of the forest. These trees were probably very wet inside. Because here, there was some forest fire, probably last season or early this year. A little bit of fire damage in this section. Look at this. The trail goes right next to the water. Very clean, very pristine. You don't see anything human related around, but there's lots of burnt hills. Look at this burntness. You can see the firefighters wrapped danger around certain trees that could be a problem with falling down. Maybe they also cut it open to get rid of the smoldering insides of these trees. Some of these ones are still partially alive. And there's some nice flat spots, maybe even here to set up a tent. If we pick up these sticks, this is a really nice flat area with a little tree barrier We have the sounds of the water here. We could set up a bear bag around here. And look at the piles of rocks over here. Is this natural, these piles? Or do the trees just grow on them after humans put this here? There's a bunch of rusted cans. Somebody else was probably camping in this same area years ago. Look at these rock piles. That must have been put here by humans, these piles, since we're not super duper far from the road. This was probably logged at one point years ago. Hey, look at this, everyone. We have a whole bunch of these beetles. I've never seen so many in one spot. Those are Sawyer beetles. They're completely native, and they go after dead or dying trees. If we listen really carefully, I'll turn the volume up here. That's not the beetle making it, that's the larvae inside the tree actually chewing. It makes little tunnels in the tree, but only dead trees. They're a native bug. We might want to be careful where we step. This bottle here, just the shape of it. Look at the bottleneck, it looks pretty vintage. It's probably a pretty old one. Maybe someone was eating Spam out here a while back, but anything burnt, it'll rust up pretty fast. But I don't know, Spam I'm pretty sure is made out of aluminum, so that was some kind of other canned meat. This looks like the best spot for us to camp. We got this nice little square pad, a little buffer right next to the water, and we're gonna string up a bear bag somewhere to put our food in, because this area has grizzlies. We already had dinner before setting off into the woods. Already brushed our teeth. Nothing to attract them. Even the park rangers say you should pee in bottles or walk far away from the tent, because that'll even attract the grizzlies. But we're gonna try sleeping here. Never slept in a burnt area. We can also do a little bit of exploring of the river area on the way. It feels very dry out here despite it have been raining out recently. So we're not gonna start any fires or anything. I hear a very angry squirrel somewhere. So over here, we have a lot of sharp sticks we gotta get rid of. There's a little bit of wind picking up, so that's good. It'll keep the mosquitoes away. It's a little bit burnt, but we're gonna put down a tarp over this. We'll get rid of anything that could stick through the tent. Found ourselves a nice little flat spot. All right, everyone. I'm gonna take this heavy pack off. We'll unload our food in a minute. Take this off. It's hot at the moment, but even when I was camping in Florida, it got cold at night. Can't imagine how cold this place is going to get if being in the vehicle's been cold the past few nights. So today's high temperature is only about 64 degrees Fahrenheit, and at night it's gonna get down to about 40. That's about 5 Celsius. It's gonna be a chilly night for August, but we're really, really far up. I'm gonna start off by cleaning up all these sticks, just getting them out of the ground. Everything that I think could poke up, and might even have to wash my hands. There's a lot of burnt. Ouch. Pricker bush. Got it. There's a bunch of raspberry bushes that got scarred in the fire, but I think they're small enough. We'll just tarp right over them. All right, everyone, we got the tent all set up. A blanket and a sleeping bag. And I think I'm gonna take a wet wipe and clean this up. There's a little bit of sand in there from the last camp. I took my boots off so I don't track in any of this ash and burnt stuff onto the tent, because we're gonna be using it a bunch more and we don't have access to a washing machine anytime soon or any easy way to do this. Oh, that's gonna itch bad. I just had a mosquito biting the top of my foot. All right, I'm gonna wipe up in here all the sand from the last trip. We really need to use a dustpan, but I don't really open this up at home. I got most of it anyways. We'll throw that out later. Okay, and over here in my girlfriend's bag, we got one pillow, another sleeping bag. Now, we easily could have bought a air mattress for two, because these are single person air mattresses, but if one of them gets a pop, only one of us should have a bad night. So this one's brand new. Actually, mine is brand new because I broke mine in the last camp and I had to use this super cheap pad the past couple camps because these take a bit to come in the mail. And we have MREs. This should be completely sealed. A bear should not be able to smell this, but we're not going to take any chances. This, toothpaste, anything that smells good, it's going up in a tree far away from us. And we have a couple bear sprays in here. This area has a high population of grizzlies. They're not expected to go anywhere near us. Most of those attacks are antagonized in some way, getting too close, sneaking up on them, the park rangers say. But we're not going to take a chance of them coming over to us in the middle of the night. So, the way these mattresses set up, when you buy them, they come open. When I first used one of these, I kept pumping and pumping and I was wondering why I wasn't filling up. This has to be closed like that. This has to be closed up all like that. And these are super compact air mattresses. It's better than any pad you could have since you have to inflate it. See, when you open that right there, you're just squeezing. You can use your hands or it's advertised with your feet, but I find it much easier to use your hands. You just do this. Just gotta make sure you're not blocking the intake. Just like that. I can usually get it full in under a minute, but it has to be flat for me to do that. I'll show you. I'm gonna pump them both up real quick. And get the other one set up. Simply close this up real quick, and I'm going to lay them flat in here. Thankfully, all the mosquitoes that got in here, these guys are so easy to kill. Like the ones in my area, they see you coming to swat them. These ones, they just let you smush them against the wall. They don't even have any fear of you. And these things match the tent perfectly. Okay, open this one up. And I'll show you how fast this can potentially go. I think because they're brand new, you gotta help it out a little bit like that. Yep, that did a lot. For me, this is a lot faster than using my feet. All right, maybe closer to 2 minutes. I'll put on the screen exactly how long that took. So there's a one-way check valve in here. That's basically what it is. And there's a sponge in here that makes it reinflate the little compressor. Now you want to do it until it's pretty firm. Especially, it's going to get colder at night. It'll get a little flat, but you can pump a little more into it. See? Still pretty easy, but it's quickly getting tougher. Yep, see? It's getting tougher to push, and we're done. All right, I'll put that in here in a minute. Let's set up the other one. And they're so easy to deflate. You just open that cap on the other end. All right, getting firm. That one really tired me out. And these things kind of have a little pillow of their own on them. All right, let's see if we can fit both of these in here. We've never used these before, but we have used a two-person sleeping bag in here. Good enough. This is the smallest two-person tent you can probably find, or pretty big one-person tent. I use it all the time on solo backpacking trips. This tent is from Amazon. It's rated for 1 or 2 people. All right, water bottles. We'll leave those in here. I don't think the MREs have to go up in a tree. We're gonna have those for breakfast. We got rope. And one of these days out here when we find a forest that isn't burnt, I want to cut off a bunch of branches and I want to make a shelter. I want to go in the woods without a tent. I heard something. I don't know what it was. The thunder? Okay, we're gonna together a bear bag up in one of the trees. You're probably going to need close to all of this. It's 50 feet. We could tie up the rest of it on the ground. Alright, so we're going to use this as a bear bag. Throw these up in a tree. In our next camp, I want to be out here for multiple nights. So we'd also have to throw our garbage up in a tree or burn it. But I don't think we should start a fire. It looks pretty dry around here, especially with all this dead stuff. If it actually started raining out, maybe we'd start a fire. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to tie this around like a good sized rock and I'm going to throw it up over one of the trees. I'm going to find it over in the river, so I'm going to put my boots back on. All right. Look down here. It's like another layer. I'm gonna try to find a good rock. So, you know, one that's more shaped like a dog bone that I can tie in the middle without it slipping off. That would be ideal without walking all the way back down to the beach to look for one. I see somebody on the only tree that's not evergreen. Oh, that's the eyeball of a squirrel coming to look at us. And it's got a nut in its mouth. Look at that. So it's on an aspen tree right there. There's very few trees up here that aren't evergreen. Lots of fir and spruce. There's a couple more aspens. So this area had a minor forest fire, but it wasn't hot enough to actually kill the trees. Just swept the forest floor. So we're going back over to this area where the river floods in search of the perfect rock. And I see these tracks that are too big to be a deer. I'm thinking elk have walked this trail. The kind of rock I'm looking for is shaped like a dog bone. You know, I can tie it and it has bigger ends where it won't slip. Probably not necessary. I'll probably end up just settling for a long one and it'll probably work. There's the landslide area. I kind of want to go see if it's still moving at all. Might even try to find a spot where I can cross with my boots. A lot of mosquitoes biting me. Okay, I guess I'll try throwing that over. So close. Oh, if it was an inch higher. Got it. Down, rock. Start over. Wasn't as weak as you thought it, right? I think we're out of a rope now. How am I supposed? I don't know how to get that down now. I'm trying to break the tree. Not slipping. Alright, that's our only rope, and we're in the middle of nowhere, so we're going to cut this tree down. It's already dead. Both halves are dead. It's stuck in this one, so we got to be careful. That's going to try to swing that way. Okay, so because it's going to swing this way, we don't want this thing to all just jag apart, so we're going to cut a little on this side to relieve that tension. Oh, this is actually a pretty sharp saw. I'm afraid of bending the blade. I'm putting a lot of force on this. I think we're almost to the point where we're going to be able to snap it with the rope. I hear it cracking. We're going to try to pull now. It's hugging its other half so tightly that the cut's not even mattering. All right, 3/4 through the other half. All right, let's see if we can get the other one down. And I am 100% through that one, it's just hung up. So this is how it was stuck up here. That's it. We're gonna have to find another tree. Hopefully the bears will leave us alone. We're gonna reopen their trail. This is pretty much an animal trail. I don't think too many fishermen use this trail out here. Let's just quickly cut this out of the trail for whoever might use it. The moose will be happy to have their trail back. All right, let's try to get the bear bag up again. Gotta hold the weight. All right, let's hope this branch holds. You're supposed to use a branch that can't support the bear's weight and get the bag high enough off the ground. Good. Now I'm going to anchor it somewhere. I just don't want to cut the rope because it's the only one we have while we're out here. A bear could just... Yeah, thankfully bears, unless they done it before, hopefully wouldn't know how to knock the line down. All right, everyone, we're all set up for the night. And right behind me, we got our backpacks we're kind of using as a pillow. We brought one pillow, and the sleeping pads also have a pillow built into them. Now that's into the evening. Look, the sun's actually starting to come out. Look at that over there. You don't hear nothing. The road gets very quiet at night. The Alaska Highway, we slept on the side of the Alaska Highway at a rest area last night. A big semi-truck will go by every now and then, but it's pretty dead. Now you see these trees are pretty hollow. Fire gets inside of these trees. If you're seeing the cut areas, that's from firefighters coming through here. You see they cut down every tree that they knew there was fire inside of it. That's what that is. That's not from another camper. They wanted to make sure everything was out. These are all hollow trees that they cut open here. Firefighting. Look at this, everyone. It's not even the longest day of the year, but it's 10 past 9 o'clock at night. Still got a good amount of sun up here. I would love to someday come up here to Alaska or something on like the longest day of the year. That'd be fun. Alright, everyone. I got a decent amount of hours compared to some of my camps. Slept about 5 hours. It's a bit chilly, but I personally think it's pleasant out. Sun's gonna quickly come up. It actually smells good out. Despite it all being burnt, all I can smell is pine from the few living trees around. Another hour or so, we'll go get the bear bag and start breakfast. I hear a few birds chirping. Didn't hear anything walk by. Not sure what might have walked by. Something uses this trail way out here. Alright, everyone. When you are camping, you usually wake up with the crack of dawn. It's so early. We're going to wait a little bit to film. This is what it looks like to our naked eye. A little bit darker. Camera adds light. We're going to walk around for a bit. It'll help us warm up. Get the bear bag down. Have some breakfast. Sun should come up nicely soon. Let's look at the water. Didn't hear any creatures, just looking at the beach on the other side. The air's so still. You can hear birds. Can't see our breath though. It's now about 6:30 in the morning. The sun's coming up more. It's noticeably getting warmer. And I hear an angry squirrel. Alright, everyone, now we're going to go over to get the bear bag. It's getting warmer fast, which is really nice. Alright, everyone, we're going to go ahead and take the bear bag down. Look at this, everyone. What do you think that is? I think that's elk tracks. Too big to be a deer. We're gonna have breakfast down here on the beach, away from the tent. Maybe there'll be less mosquitoes, but I think they're everywhere. There was none when the sun came up, too cold. Now it just got a little bit warmer. It's not sunny. Mosquitoes are liking this. Check this out. The salt corroded the staple so bad it's not even there anymore. It just completely dissolved the metal. I want to try again. This one's thin. At least that one skipped once. These rocks aren't flat enough. And everyone, just like this, it's just gonna go. Squeeze it all out. Alright everyone, we're all set up. It's still a chilly morning, so we'll keep the jackets on. But I'm sure during the hike out of here, it's going to get pretty toasty, and I'll end up taking it off. Alrighty, and we're out of here, back to the road we parked on. I hope today's video camping in this burnt forest was interesting. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. Don't know what this means. Firefighting, maybe? So on the way out of here, we see why there's so many mosquitoes. There's lots of these stagnant pools. Mosquitoes are really bad, actually, putting that tent away. We're going to set that tent back up, and we're going to spread that tarp out. The tarp is wet, and the tent is full of sand. We're going to clean it out at our actual campsite. We're going to film at an actual campsite where we can have an actual campfire. Out here, supposedly there's no drought, but it sure felt dry yesterday. Right now it's just covered in dew. On the ground right here, look what we have. There's a strawberry. There's a wild strawberry growing out here. Look how small that is. Tiny little strawberry. Very sweet. Some of the plants here on the west coast, all the way up north, are the same as my area. Some are different. I know our wild strawberries were in season 2 months ago. So is this area really 2 months behind? It's very, very cold, the weather. Look at this. Very steep drop. Lots of erosion on these rivers. But that's where we camped, and that landslide down there is where we had breakfast. Gotta hike back up the river, back to the road. Still looking for more berries along the edge of the trail. Animals definitely use this, but it's probably created by fishermen since it's at the end of a dead-end logging road.